Thank you for staying with us, and a warm welcome to those who've just joined us. Now, the Road Freight Association is calling on authorities to act decisively against non-compliant road users. The call follows yesterday's multi-vehicle pileup on the M41 near Umhlanga in KwaZulu-Natal. Now, for more on this plea, we are joined by the CEO of the Road Freight Association, Gavin Kelly. Mr. Kelly, thank you very much for your time here on eNCA. I'm sure you were horrified when you saw what happened on the M41 yesterday.
Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to your listeners. I'm actually quite scared to look at my phone every day these days because it just doesn't seem to end. And yes, when we saw these scenes, obviously the first thing we looked for was whether we could find the truck, and that only appeared on social media a little bit later, as evidently it was about 2 kilometers down the road from where we saw these very scenes of carnage and crash. So yeah, this is just something that we cannot continue to allow to happen. And that's why we're saying to the authorities, we need to do the first things right. We need to have this investigation to find out what happened. I see on social media they're talking about a number of registrations being in the vehicle, different types of number plates. I can't verify that, but there's a very good indication that whoever was operating this truck knew that there was something amiss or that they were not doing things legally. So the first thing we need to do is we need to investigate why this crash happened so that we can put in place measures to not allow this to happen again.
Now, are you concerned at all about the number of trucks that have been involved in these types of horrific accidents? Of course, yesterday, quite grateful that nobody died, but your concern around trucks seemingly always being involved?
Yeah, we seem to see a lot more happening now. I don't know that's whether or it's because there are a lot more cell phones, a lot more videos on the road, so people are sharing this a lot more than previously. I like to think that's part of it, but we can't step away from reality. Is it a case that there are a lot of transporters out there, or operators as they're referred to in the industry, who know that there's very little chance, A, of them being inspected and being inspected by a proper institution, by honest, non-corruptible individuals. And secondly, that if something happens, they're going to get away with it anyway. They don't have to worry about it. So is that sort of societal norm now beginning to override what happens out there? And now we're seeing more and more of this. But I can say to you that every week I get at least 5 or 6 reports. Some of them aren't as newsworthy, if I can use that term with all respect, as newsworthy as this. And then, of course, there are lots of near misses that go away or go past unreported because there wasn't something as spectacular as this.
And, your solution to the fact that, there are companies that are always investigated, and then at the end of the day, for instance, I don't know if you remember that Pinetown accident where, I think over 20 people died in that particular accident. The truck driver is the one who is currently still serving time for culpable homicide, while the company that he worked for was scot-free, and it was found that the truck he was driving was unroadworthy.
Well, of course, this is always the huge debate, isn't it? And it really is why it's so important that these initial crash investigations or reconstructions are done as quickly as possible and that the actual causes are identified, because then you can work out, was this the driver just being reckless, negligent, or was it an accident? So in our industry, we call these crashes or incidents. We don't call them accidents. Accidents, a type of crash that happens that nobody could have foreseen and there wasn't any culpable fault. So, for example, an accident that happens and nobody could have done anything about it. But this wasn't an accident. There are pictures, and I'm not going to comment on whether they can be verified or not, but there are pictures of the drums of the trailer. So the first question I would definitely ask is, could I see the maintenance schedule? Can I see proof of when you worked on this vehicle? Can I see proof of when it was checked? And every single vehicle, before it goes on the road, is required to do what we call a pre-trip inspection. So was that done? And if it wasn't done, why wasn't it done? And who's accountable? This isn't just the driver. In this case, it isn't just the driver.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Kelly, for speaking to us here on eNCA. That was the Road Freight Association CEO, Gavin Kelly.